Father Phil Rogers, pastor of St. Benedict's Parish.
I'm Father Dave Loper, pastor of St. John the Baptist Parish in Pottsville.
And I'm Paul Waterman, a member of the Pastoral Council from 2009 to 2012 at St. Benedict's Parish.
Father Dave and I are going to answer 3 questions, but from 2 different perspectives. One, I had no pastoral council when I started, and Father Dave came into a parish that already had one. So from those 2 different perspectives, we're going to kind of answer a couple of questions. The first one is, what did we do? How did we get things moving in a good direction? And so in 2006, I wanted to start a pastoral council, looking for a tool, looking for some kind of resources. I picked up the book from the Diocese of Harrisburg in 2006, and about 90% of what I did comes from the book of Harrisburg. Another 5% came from the Diocese of Greensburg, and a little bit more from the Archdiocese of Chicago. And so in starting my council, I got that information, I looked at it all, digested it, and then I came up with 5 handouts, and I preached for 5 weeks in a row about pastoral counsel to the parish. I included it not only in the homily, but then I also then had a handout in the bulletin for 5 weeks in a row, and just to get everybody aboard. This is what we're looking for, this is what we want to get going here in our parish. And so that was the catechesis stage, just teaching them, sharing them the vision of a pastoral council, what it can do, what it can't do. And then we were very clearly, gave them the expectations, how many meetings. We're looking at 6 meetings a year. Each meeting would be exactly 2 hours long, or it could be shorter, but it wouldn't be longer than 2 hours. And so we talk about the expectations of what we expected the people to do in that consultative advisory part of our church, but also then the qualifications. Person in good standing, went through all those. They had to be in the parish at least 3 years. We have a lot of people moving in and getting started, but we're looking for some people who had an experience of St. Benedict's, so that was one of our qualifications, that they were at least a member for 3 years. Then it was time for nomination. So after giving them catechesis, talking about the qualifications, had this all in the bulletin, and then we asked people if they could self-nominate or they could nominate someone else in the parish that they know fit these qualifications. There were 91 nominations for 9 seats. From all those nominations then, I asked them to accept their nomination. Out of the 37 accepted the nomination. So 37 people got in one big giant circle. We went through a process really that I got from the Diocese of Greensburg on prayer and discernment. It took about almost 3 hours, but those 37 pretty much chose the 9. And then, of course, it was our first one, so then we gave them all different, some were on for a year and then renewable, so that our goal was that 3 would come off every year and 3 new ones would go on every year. And you would serve a 3-year term. Our discernment was the 37 in a circle, and they discerned together using scripture, prayer, talking, everybody speaking, everybody sharing ideas, and then also choosing. And so through a consensus, a model, those 37 people discerned who the 9 would be. Those 9 accepted, applause, they're now our council. Everyone felt really good. That was the amazing thing. Everyone really felt good about the process, that they helped pick the best people at this time in 2006 for our parish. They saw the gifts and talents in the different people, and there was a wise Monsignor from New Jersey who told me, allow appointment for at least 2 spots, just in case you get all women and no men, just in case you get all senior citizens and no young people. And it was amazing. I just sat back and watched it. The first one selected was the oldest one at the table. The next one was selected was the youngest at the table. It was male, it was female. It was an incredible mix that happened in that first council of 9 people. Truly blessed. Then the first job was to just start working on a mission statement. So those 9 people came together. I gave a little orientation, the expectations, what our goal was, what our job before us was. And so there was a little orientation to all of those new people. And then their first job was to begin working on a mission statement. Parish didn't have one. And then we looked at constitutions. We looked at about, I think, 8 different parish constitutions from across the country. Someone researched it, put it all in front of us, and we accepted the one that we felt could fit our parish. And then we began working on the first pastoral plan. A pastoral plan gives us a couple goals currently for this year, a couple goals down the road, and then a couple goals for way down the road. And that's how we got started with our council. And now, Father Dave.
Unlike Father Phil, when going to St. John's in 1997, found out that we already had a parish council. And it was a little daunting at first. I went there and thinking, oh wow, this is really going to be interesting. But we had our first meeting. Actually, I arrived there in December, so they were actually having their first meeting. And I sat down and they started the meeting, of course, full agenda. And when I got done that meeting, all I could say was, wow, what a parish I walked into. Our parish council was established in 1994, 2 pastors before me. It has 15 members, voting members. They are elected, but we do have I do have the option to appoint members if needed. We also have on the council ex officio members. So we have a secretary who's long-standing. Then we have members from our various parish groups, CYO, youth ministry, our cemetery, our finance, our religious ed program, our liturgy and music, adult education, RCIA, and our buildings and grounds. So these members come to the parish council. They sit at parish council. They can voice their opinions. They give reports. There's a written report given before each of our parish council meetings that are sent out to the parish council members before the meeting so they can look over the reports, see what's going on in that certain committee, and then talk about that at the meeting. So their voice is heard, okay? Our parish council members, as I said, are elected, okay? They have a 3-year term. They can renew one time, and then they're off for a year, and then they can be re-elected again. When John was talking about election versus appointed, again, that problem came up. Well, what happens if you get some members with their own agenda? In my time there at St. John's, only once did we ever have that problem, and it kind of resolved itself. Our elected members are nominated by the parish. Then we have a nominating committee. We'll ask those nominated people if they want to be a part of the parish council. They can say yes or no. And then from that yes group, we either have elections, or if there's only enough members that are coming in for the members going off, those members are automatically a part of council. So like this year itself, we have the exact number that we needed going off, coming on, so we did not have to have elections. That's only happened about 3 times. Normally, our yes nominations supersede the ones that are needed. So we do have elections. Then the parish votes. We do it at each of our masses, one of the Sundays, usually around the Labor Day times for our September meeting. And then the nominating committee counts all the ballots, and then those people that are elected are called and then send an official letter and also our bylaws. I did give you a copy of our mission statement and our bylaws for our parish council. And right now we're actually undergoing some revisions of these bylaws, but I gave you the ones, I didn't want to give you the ones that were all marked up in red. So these are the ones that are standing now. And Article 1 there, Section 2, basically gives our what we're about as a parish council and what we do. The first there is to identify the spiritual and temporal needs of the parish, set priorities, and implement progress aimed at meeting these needs. Okay? So the council really is an advisory board, advisory council to me, okay? But they also come up with some very good ideas and very good plans. Secondly, to coordinate and encourage and promote apostolic activities within the parish. Okay, so we want to reach out to the parish, we want to meet their needs, and we also want to help the parish to grow. So how can we allow other people to feel welcome in coming into our parish? And also to look at those parishioners who may have fallen away, as John pointed out, and to bring them back into the fold. To serve as a forum for constructive dialogue among the clergy, religious, and laity of the parish in order that they may work in close cooperation in fulfilling Christ's mission. To provide leadership and direction in achieving the continuing goals of the parish, the diocese, and the universal church. So we're not only looking just at our parish structure, but also the diocese and the church in general, and what's happening in those different areas. To utilize the skills of all members of our parish community by providing opportunities for personal involvement in the work of the parish. And as I said, our elected members of parish council, many times we have a across-the-board spectrum of people. We have lawyers, doctors, business people, just working-class people, mothers, and things like that, some teachers. So we get a good mix in and out of parish council each year. To utilize the skills of the members of the parish community by providing opportunities for personal involvement in the work of the parish. So our council actually does get involved. Okay, they're just not there to advise. They actually do get involved in the workings of the parish and help some of these other committees of our parish to fulfill their needs too. To encourage leadership roles in the church and cooperate with other organizations to see the same objective. Okay? And finally, to initiate programs of social, civic, educational, and moral benefit in the parish. Okay, so those are really our goals as a parish council to do that.
All right. Our second question is the process of getting people onto the council. So how do we get people on? The other day was mentioning something about talking about election, and so our process of getting new people on, and after that first year, which was just overwhelming the response, I thought, well, this will change the second year, but it continued. There was great interest of people wanting to serve, and so our next year from 91, it did go down to 40. 40 were nominated. 23 accepted the nomination, and we were only looking for 3 seats. So 23 people sit around a table, their names are in front of them on a piece of cardboard, and again, we started that process again, process of discernment and prayer and consensus, finding out of the 23 who would be the 3. This year, we had 29 were nominated, 13 accepted the nomination. So the 13 people discerned who would be the 3 for this year. So there's this continuing enthusiasm and people. I don't have to go beg someone, please come on the council. There's still people who are stepping forward, which is, I think, a great sign that it's meaningful. It's a meaningful experience for the people who serve there. People in the parish see what they're doing. It's very visible almost every month. the goals they're achieving, the new ministries that they might be introducing to the parish, etc. So what fit our schedule as far as getting new people on was to follow this kind of breakdown. In April, we used the whole month for nominations, a huge, gigantic box in the gathering space. People are invited to self-nominate or nominate someone else. And so for the whole month of April, every Sunday, there's an announcement, there's encouragement. People fill out a form, they drop it in the box. Again, either they nominate themselves or they could nominate someone else who would fit the type of person that we're looking for. Then during the month of May, it's discernment. So I get from all those nominations, I find out who will accept the nomination. So I contact each one individually, and I say, we're getting ready to choose the next 3, and do you accept the nomination? So then from those who accept it, they're the ones who discern. So I usually pick one Sunday, so it gives me a couple Sundays just to kind of get through all those who have nominated and find out who is accepting it. Set a date. We meet usually on a Sunday afternoon after the last Mass, and we begin that process. That seems to be working for us. So during the month of May, all those who accepted, like 23 or 13, those who accepted the nominations, they come to a meeting, they go through this process of discernment. Again, this process I got from the Diocese of Greensburg. It's using scripture, it's using prayer, it's using discussions, questions, everyone speaking, and then everyone choosing, everyone discerning who would be the 3 best ones for this time for our parish. And then those seats are filled, and then during the month of June, it gives me a whole month that I can find in my schedule and their schedules a little orientation. Someone from the council usually does that orientation. I'm usually there, but someone from the council, usually the chairperson, does the orientation to bring them up to speed. This is what we're working on. This is what we're doing right now. This is when our meeting's going to be. This is our constitution, so they get all that kind of information during the orientation, which happens in the month of June. July is their first meeting. So the 3 new people are coming on and 3 people are going off. And we invite them all to come to that July meeting. So the 3 are going off, we speak about them, we thank them for their service, and yet they stay at the meeting, they participate in the meeting, and also the 3 new ones are coming on. They had an orientation, they kind of know the format, they know what's going to happen, basically a 2-hour meeting. But the July meeting is our meeting to dream and also to brainstorm. What new areas do we need to focus on? How can we grow the parish spiritually? What areas do we need to attend to? And so we look at those 6 areas of mission, and we reflect on them, and we discern. But it's really a dreaming session, and it's exciting. People can put, I said, you can put anything up on the board, anything at all. And so everything goes up the board, and then pretty much that just ends the meeting. And then we tell people, pray about all these different ideas. Pray about this long list that we have up here, these 15 or 20 different ideas up here of how our parish can grow. And then we get together in September, we'll again continue to pray. Which are the 3 are we going to do this year? From the gifts and talents of the people at this table, from the needs that we see before us, what are the 3 goals that we can focus on, that we can really try to accomplish? We can't do them all, it's impossible, and we can't do 15, 20 different new projects or ministries in 1 year. I said, in God's time. And so let's just focus, what can we do? What do we feel is important that we can accomplish this year? So our September meeting is getting down to nuts and bolts and really setting the agenda, for the most part, for the rest of the year. Other than any kind of emergency, there's something that might come up in the parish that we need to attend to, but for the most part, the September meeting sets the agenda for the whole year, trying to accomplish 3 goals. And we'll give you some concrete examples of that in a minute. Okay?
As I alluded to at the beginning, we do have all elected members. And so Section 7 on page 3 of our bylaws, we do also have a nominating committee, and our nominations are done at our March meeting. we have select a nominating committee, which is about 3 people. Right now it says 4, but we're revising that down to 3. And it says they will implement procedures by which the parishioners may become acquainted with the candidates, to encourage all eligible members of the parish family to vote, to count the ballots and certification of elections, and to organize and implement orientations for the new parish council members prior to the September meeting. So this is the responsibility of the nominating committee, what they need to do. So they are chosen at our March meeting, and then nominations begin approximately around April, May. And what happens is we put in the bulletin that we'll put a nominating ballot in the bulletin, and what some of the expectations are of council members, so people can see what they are getting into. And then people nominate parishioners from April, May till about mid-June. Okay. Then during June and July, the nominating committee will then call all those people that were nominated, again asking them if they want to serve or not. When those come back, they're given to our secretary, who then will call the ones that said yes, and then they are asked to fill out a sheet. We have a sheet that we give each accepting nominee to fill out. It's like a background sheet, a biography, and then they're asked to submit a picture. So they write out a biography about themselves, who they are, how long they've been in the parish, and also we ask them why they feel they want to serve on parish council. So they need to write that out. And then what we do is a few weeks before our elections, beginning in late July, beginning of August, we put those biographies and pictures in our bulletin. So everyone gets to see them, and then we also make extra copies and we put them around on the church tables for those who may not see the bulletin that week, who might have been away, but they get to see, instead of keep repeating in the bulletin, making all those hundreds of copies, we put copies around the tables, and we encourage people, if they haven't seen that bulletin, to pick up the biographies and to know who is running for parish council. And then, as I said, in September, around Labor Day weekend, we do our elections at each Mass, and then the ballots are brought together, calculated, and then those people are notified. They do meet with our president of parish council before the first meeting. They're given a copy of the bylaws. They're given a copy of the last meeting's agenda to go over how we do things. And you also have a copy of that agenda that I also handed out of one of our prior meetings. And our agenda is really based on the 4 Signs of a Dynamic Catholic by Matthew Kelly. As you'll see, there's different groupings there on the agenda. So then once they're elected, they do come to the September meeting, and as Father Phil said, the ones going off also attend that meeting. The new members are welcomed. Those going off are thanked for their service to parish council, and then again they participate in that meeting, but that is their last meeting, and then the new members take over.
Our last question is, what is the pastoral plan? How do we communicate that and make that connection to the people in the parish? I hope this wasn't too confusing going back and forth, but we wanted to give you 2 different perspectives of 2 different parishes and how it's... And so, what is the pastoral plan? How do we get to it? And how do we let people in the parish know? I'm going to just jump down to the bottom part, the pastoral council, and Paul Waterman from my parish, who served on the council, will share a little bit of the top part, the pastoral plan. The pastoral council is made up of a recording secretary. She's appointed by me, so she is not a voting member. She keeps all the minutes. She takes care of all the paperwork. She makes everything, gets things out on time to people, reminding them of the meetings. So she just serves in a secretarial role, serving the parish, taking things down. She doesn't participate in the conversation, just recording everything. The pastoral council is also the staff of the parish, so those who, the DRE, the music director, so those who are finance office, so paid people on the staff, they're invited to the council meeting, and they usually give a very, very brief report or hand one in. And then we have this thing called the ministry coordinator. So this is a lay person who volunteers, and she sits at the meeting. She participates in the meeting. She's not a voting member. Actually, we never vote. We always do things by consensus, so there's no real actual voting. But we always, so far up to this point, we've been able to do things and move together in the direction together. So this ministry coordinator, excuse me, she sits on the council, she participates in the discussion, and then she takes information from the council back to like the 25, 30 different ministries in the parish. She meets with the heads of all those ministries twice a year. In September, as they do the calendar, all the way up to January, and then she meets with them in January. I'm always at that meeting as well, from January to the summer, to the Chicken Festival. And so it's twice a year, half a year is done at a time, and she had all those people together so that everybody knows what everybody's doing, so we don't have 2 clothing drives in the same month, or we don't have 2 food collections. So everybody listens to everybody's projects. She brings that to the council. She takes stuff from the council back to all the different ministries in the parish. So she is our connection, our link to keeping everybody informed. And it's amazing, even pastoral councils, people who come on, they go, I didn't know our parish had that. I hear that so many times. So we try to keep them informed of the development and of the different ministries and the outreach to the community, interfaith, et cetera, et cetera. So she's a key person. She's very important for communication purposes. And then also we put a synopsis in the bulletin so everybody in the parish knows what we're about. And when we develop the pastoral plan, which we hear a little bit more about, then everybody in the parish gets a little on a parchment paper. This is the pastoral plan for this year. It has 3 main goals with some objectives, with a timeline, how that goal is going to be met by June. So by March, by November, this is what's done. By January, this is what's done. By March, this was done. In June, then we decide, was that goal completed? If it was, we say, thanks be to God. If it's not, it gets rolled over to the next year. So, and this is posted when you come in the front door of the church. The first thing you see in our parish is the pastoral plan on the bulletin board with a picture of the council members all around it. Right? I know.
In our parish council, the communication to the parish kind of works this way. Before a parish council meeting, a few weeks before, it is put in the bulletin when the parish council will be meeting. It also lists all those members that are on parish council at that point. And our parish council members, all the time at Mass, unless they're serving on the altar, wear a lanyard with their name on it, and it says parish council. So that if they're at Mass and people see them, they can go up to them, talk to them, or ask them a question, or have a concern of something that they might want brought up to parish council at the next meeting. So the bulletin process gives people notice of when that parish council meeting is going to happen, and then if they need to have anything presented, they can ask the parish council members at that point. During the meeting, the members, we have, I gave you the copy of the agenda. The agenda is gone through, but at the very bottom of the agenda, there it says study, and it says immediate ideas. Each parish council meeting that we have, we look at a specific area of the parish. So it might be, let's say, youth ministry, or finance, or religious ed, or our liturgy. And then we bring the person, not only the person who sits on that committee as ex officio member, but also other members of that group to the parish council meeting to talk about their ministry or their area of concern in the parish. And then the council itself looks at that as kind of a study to see how we might make that better, or what good is going on at that point, and how we can enhance that for the future. So that's done at each parish council meeting. We always take a specific area of the parish to look at. But then underneath there it says questions, concerns, and suggestions, and this is where each parish council member can voice anything that they've gotten from another parishioner, either as a question, a concern, or a suggestion. And then that is talked about either a little bit at parish council, it might be pushed to the next parish council meeting if it's something of more concern, but we try to address it right away at that meeting. If it needs to be, further talked about, it goes to the next meeting. If it's something easily solved, we do it at that meeting. But that helps to give the voice of the people to the council. And then after the meeting, as Father Phil said, we put a synopsis of our minutes into the bulletin. Our parish council president, along with the secretary, makes a synopsis of the minutes, and then they're put into the bulletin, and so that everyone gets to see. We usually put them in 2 weeks in a row, just in case someone missed it the first week. So I think that's about it.
So I found out we're out of time, so I'll be very brief. I'm going to talk about the pastoral plan at St. Benedict's from 2009 to 2016. So before I do that, I want you to know that how we develop them, we start every meeting with an opening prayer that's presented by one of the members of the pastoral council, and then we read our mission statement out loud, and then immediately follow that with some faith sharing that's led by Father Phil, but everyone shares in faith. So from wherever we came from that day, whatever busy things we did that day, by the end of those three things, we are centered on Christ and centered on our mission. So then from that point forward, that evening, we're all together. And I think the consensus that we come to is because that's where we are. So Father said we started in 2006, with the first meeting being in October. The parish mission statement was developed, the constitution and bylaws were developed, and then the first pastoral plan was in 2009. On every pastoral plan, that we communicate, the one Father put up and the other six that were done, we have this statement at the top of it, and it basically says what we believe the pastoral plan to be. That it's an evolving 5-year plan developed by St. Benedict's pastor with the input from the parish council. It's intended to promote within the parish the 6 primary areas of mission for a modern Catholic, healthy Catholic parish. So we let everybody know that's what our purpose is. So you might want to put ISH at the end of each month here, like July-ish for what we do, because it does have a hard start in July and a hard end in January, but it's kind of fuzzy depending on how things go. But we start in July with reviewing the areas of mission, okay, and then we go and we examine gaps and opportunities that we might have. We do some brainstorming, we prioritize it, we focus on that first year strongly, then we adopt and approve in January and then implement through June, and as Father said, if it's not done, you go to the next year. So this is the 6 areas of mission. We start with that, we start talking about it, we do research on it, we read about it, we just, amongst ourselves and by ourselves, try to figure out all about the areas of mission and how it fits in. And then we look at all of all the groups, the ministries in the church, the activities that are in our church, and we kind of orient ourselves and say, okay, that's how they fit into those 6 areas of mission. So we do that, and with that, we start with the brainstorming. And the brainstorming is really prayer and a blank sheet. So it's a prayerful thing that we do, and we just put up ideas. So then we organize those ideas around the 6 areas of mission. and you see the little check marks, so you kind of, in your own mind, you say what we think are the more important ones, and then we come to consensus on what they are, and then we develop the pastoral plan. So this is this year's pastoral plan. As Father said, the year one goals, the 3 goals will have much more detail than what is shown up here, and then within 3 years, and then within 5 years. So we looking 5 years out, so that's why it's a 5-year plan. That first one, youth in action through liturgy and parish outreach, just show you that's the type of, this is the type of detail that we get into. They actually have dates on them, typically when they need to be completed. But that youth in action through liturgy and parish outreach was one of the top goal for this year. So some of the highlights, of course, initiating the pastoral development process was the first one. Stewardship. We have a stewardship committee, a spirit weekend that came out of this, planning a 40-hour devotion right up front with the pastoral council. Outreach to inactive Catholics. We have a landings program that to this day is the program that we use to have outreach, enhancing our adult religious education. A greeter ministry. We are a welcoming parish, as it says in our mission, so we have a greeter ministry. Promoting greater participation in groups. We had a parish-wide survey that we asked people many different questions about their activities, and then we did a ministry self-study because one of the activities was how can we help the current ministries. We're involved in Family Promise. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's for homeless people. We provide a place for them to live while during the day the parents will go to seek employment, and we provide a place for their children and the family to live for a couple weeks. They'll go to another church in a few weeks after that. Year of Faith Committee, the parish weekend retreat. I personally went to this past year's, actually asked, my wife and I were asked if we would participate in the weekend retreat, and much to Randy, my wife's fear, she didn't realize that meant we were going to present at and because we said, yeah, sure. So we did that, but it was a wonderful thing, and that's, I think, a great thing for us. The Family Life Center, and I just want to talk about maybe this is one project that might kind of talk about the evolution of how the pastoral plan works into what a major project might be. So it started back in 2009-10, where we said we're going to reestablish the Buildings and Ground Committee. Okay, it's a big thing. So the next year one was to reestablish the Maintenance Committee. We did that. The next year was to establish a Property Committee that then looked at bigger than just the maintenance. And then in 2013-14, we created the Growth and Planning Committee, and we have a Parish Life Center that is broke ground this week. So that all came out from the work of the work of Father and the Pastoral Council. Father also asked me to say, kind of like, what's in it for me as a Pastoral Council member. And I think the first one there, don't underestimate how important it is for people in your parish to understand, or maybe they don't understand the workings of the parish and the church. I mean, really going through this, it really helps. I'm an engineer. The second bullet there, I'm an engineer. I run a steel plant of about 300 people. How can I share those? Well, the Pastoral Council gives people an opportunity to share their talents in many ways in the growth of God's kingdom. And the last bullet there, Father talked about how prayerful the discernment is and everything like that, but I would say that Father invited the Holy Spirit to every meeting that we had. So for the whole time, you're with the Holy Spirit. You could feel the Holy Spirit alive in what's going on in the meetings that we had, any activities that we had. So there are kind of 3 things that I got out of it.